Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hope everyone had a great Christmas.
Yeah. Do you get any good Marvel presents?
I'm wearing one right now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, a bunch of little 8-bit characters. I was gonna say I stocked up on a bunch of new Marvel shirts, and we had some great comics, so I'm ready to go.
Including a Christmas comic, right?
Yeah, which was a little weird to get this week, but yeah, let's jump right into it. Let's start right there.
So King in Black, Iron Man, Doom. So we've had like a lot of Doom lately, going from like kindly reformed Doom to genocidal maniac Doom
Oh,
to
I thought you just meant 2020 as far as
oh, to sort of just normal conquest Doom. And so this we get the schoolboy Doom in a manner of speaking when Santa Claus gets venomized uh, or nullified or whatever you want to call it in King in Black.
yeah. Let's start off with a bang here. This is my pick of the week.
Mine too. Not even close.
Yeah, exactly. I loved this issue. This is probably one of my favorite singular issues ever, to be honest. It was so much fun. Um, it's funny because I started off with a complaint. I wish we got this last week. That's as far as my complaints go
I was
because
gonna say like that, like it lost maybe 2 points in my book from just not coming out on time,
right.
but it is still even with that like handicap. At, at least, I mean, if not the top book of the year, top book of the month. And we had some good books, but this was just a great, not standalone story, but just a great one shot. You know, you can see it reprinted every Christmas. It's just great.
Yeah, absolutely. And from looking at the cover, I had no idea what we were getting into. I mean, obviously King in Black started in December. It's taking place around Christmas. So, there have been some Christmassy winter elements to all of the issues, but having Santa on the cover there, I was a little thrown off. I wasn't sure what we were getting into. And I mean, it blew my mind. It was crazy fun. It's hilarious. It's one of the funniest comics I've ever picked up. I mean, Doom referring to Santa as the chimneyed one is one of my favorite lines ever. So yeah, this was just wildly fun. Gave me a lot of choices, a lot to choose from for panel picks for this week. So keep an eye out for that.
Oh yeah, I kept seeing it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be the panel pick. No, wait, this is gonna be the panel pick. Oh wait, like so many great panels, so much great interaction between Doom and Iron Man. Santa just being Santa, um, and and in a way that fits the Marvel universe as it is, and it still ties into King of Black. It's not. It's very much a King of Black issue,
Yeah.
but I just can't say enough good things about this comic book.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say too. Is it seems like such a joke, sort of throwaway issue, even though it takes two of the biggest players in the Marvel universe. But it's just funny the entire time. But at the same time, you get a huge plot point for King and Black as a whole that stemmed from this issue. So it really does play a huge role. But it's so wildly ridiculous and fun.
And we've gotten, we always talk about how the tie-in issues are great when they kind of take a step back from the big event. And we've had two great Christmas tie-in issues to King and Black that kind of did that same thing. It's like, meanwhile, Hulk is celebrating Christmas, or and I think we all can all understand that Christmas is kind of canceled with in our real world to a point. And so having a Venom invasion or symbiote invasion during Christmas makes sense this year. But I it's been a long time since we read a lot of comics, we have deadlines, and I don't usually go back and reread it, but this is a comic I can't wait to just go back and reread and give it a second look.
Yeah, like you said, this might be actually the first like Christmas tradition comic that I have for myself going forward because I really enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, I mean we could talk about this issue all day, but we go into our other King and Black issue for the week.
Yeah, the next in the Namor series here. We kind of when we read this first issue, I think we both agreed like it wasn't our favorite. It was very like loosely tied to King in Black, and then we got more information in one of the actual King in Black issues. But I think that probably gave us all the information we needed, really. So we know where this is eventually going. So this kind of just felt like okay, we started at point A, we know what point B is, and now we're kind of just drifting in between. It's not bad. It's still an entertaining comic. There's still some entertaining characters, but it felt mostly unnecessary.
Yeah, and doesn't get spend enough time in his own head. You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like a war book without, you know, and I mean, maybe it's just my ignorance, but you know, because I haven't read a lot of Namor. There hasn't been a lot lately, you know, from him. He kind of does these sort of brief, limited runs and comes up, but I just don't. His supporting cast isn't all that interesting to me, and so it's not like I'm trying to think like a Fantastic Four book where you have a different route you can go. It's like
Right.
you know, I just don't find this run that particularly interesting.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, no, I agree, and I also think it doesn't do enough to make the members of the Swift Tide, this new team, doesn't do enough to make them memorable. Like, to be honest, off the top of my head, I read the comic maybe an hour ago, and I can't remember the names of each individual character. So, I think it would have benefited either from more time or less time. Either way, but we're kind of caught in the middle here.
Next, we got the penultimate issue of the Shang-Chi limited series, which we spoke highly of in previous weeks. What do you think of it this week?
Yeah, I still really like the characters. I think the story is kind of fading on me here, and I was honestly, it had been a while. You know, we've like you said, we've been reading so many different comics. It's kind of hard to keep track of where we leave off with each one, and reading this one, I was like, okay, that seems like another good addition to the story. And then it ends with "to be concluded." And that left me thinking like, wow, I feel like we really need more than one more issue to this story because it doesn't seem like they left enough time for them to give themselves a satisfying ending.
Right. It felt like they established the villain, they revealed the villain, and then now you're going on a side quest, which if it was an open-ended run, okay, you know, you're establishing the character, you're getting into his backstory. But because you kind of view these, I always view a limited run as sort of like a little mini movie. You know, it just felt like maybe needless exposition, and you know, you know, maybe not something completely earth-shattering as far as we know yet. I mean, I don't know where it's going to take it, but it wasn't. It just wasn't. It didn't follow the story that I was expecting. Not that I expect comics always do what I'm expecting, but you know, you kind of were saying, okay, here's where we're going. And then for no real reason, you sort of have not a flashback, but, you know, an exposition issue. And as a second to last issue, just seems like maybe that should have been a 0.0 issue or something else.
Yeah, this is also a hard series to talk about without getting into spoilers because of the way the story is told. It does, however, it changes Shang-Chi's overall story. In a potentially major way, I'll say, if you know you can believe ghosts, I guess. Right. So that is interesting, and I am definitely interested to see how this story wraps up. I'm just concerned that there's not enough time to wrap it up in the way I would like to see. And again, the characters in this are very entertaining. I love this this Shang-Chi that we've been seeing for the last 4 issues. So. I have enjoyed the series, and hopefully it does give us a good ending.
Yeah, it's good, just not quite as good as the first 3 issues. I would still recommend it. Last Remains Spider-Man, which I think has just a great cover. Not that you should judge
cover. No, I totally agree. This is my favorite cover of the week for sure. I love the artwork in this, and I've loved the art in this series or in this story arc as a whole too. But that cover is spectacular or amazing, whatever adjective you want to choose.
You know, I've been frustrated with this storyline, which just felt like it was Kindred monologuing for issues upon issues upon issues.
Mhm.
But I feel like once you introduced MJ into this story, it finally, like, there was some progress. It wasn't just him whining to Peter Parker or Spider-Man, whatever you want to say, for 20 pages or what have you. But kind of a big deal at the end. Not quite sure where it's going. It didn't feel like the conclusion to Last Remains. It felt like there was more to come, but it is the conclusion. So I'm not quite sure where we're going. I'm not quite sure what Kingpin has in store. So I'm curious to see what issue 56 looks like. But what do you think?
Yeah, totally agree. That ending caught me off guard. It's weird to call this the last issue of Last Remains because, I mean, clearly we need an actual ending to it. So it'll be interesting. Like you said, it'll be interesting to see where 56 goes. The beginning of this issue, I'll admit, had me feeling like I was agreeing with what you had been saying about the previous two issues, that this story was kind of getting drawn out and it was just Kindred, complaining to Spider-Man over and over again. And then, like you said, Mary Jane shows up and things sort of click, and we get to that build up that leads to a very interesting team up with a lot of different motives and hidden agendas and stuff potentially in there. So it was fun. I am a sucker for Kindred as a character. I love this new villain. So I've enjoyed this series as a whole, and I liked this issue. I hope we get a better ending to what we got here.
I will say it made me definitely want to go back and read some old school classic Spider-Man.
Yes, there was a lot of really cool like Spider-Man history in this issue as well. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and nothing that you need, nothing that, if you're a casual Spider-Man fan, you're going to be like, what? Like, it's not, it doesn't reference some villain. I mean, what he's talking about, but the way they contextualize it within his conversation, I thought was really well done.
Yeah, definitely. And it's major Spider-Man players. It's not like, you're not going to forget these names if you're a Spider-Man fan.
And then finally, World's Mightiest Heroes over here. Enter the Phoenix, Part 1. Which the cover seems to tease beyond what's in this issue.
Yes, yeah.
But basically, your Avengers are Phoenix-sized. Namely Captain America in this issue taking on a Phoenix-sized Doctor Doom. I love the concept. I'm just not ready for another tournament after 10 of Swords. I just feel like we did this.
Yeah, that's fair. However, I'm hoping this gives us the tournament that I was hoping 10 of Swords would give us, as opposed to like arm wrestling and rock, paper, scissors contest. So, by the way, Phoenix Eyes doesn't seem to work quite as well as Nullified, I don't think. I think Nullified sounds a little bit better. But I liked this issue, and I didn't expect to. I wasn't crazy about how this Avengers series has been going recently. And I got into this, and I really liked it. I like this concept. I like that Phoenix is sort of playing everyone on Earth. It's just, I'm picking from these characters, and you're going to fight to decide who's going to be the new Phoenix. I think it's a really cool concept. I hope it actually does. I hope it does actually play out with this, this sort of Marvel meets March Madness sort of story we got going here.
Yeah, and I gotta say the character design is cool. The Captain America look is just awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
And this was my second favorite. Like when I was reading the first few, I read Iron Man Doom last, and so as I'm reading this, I was like, okay, this is probably gonna be the pick of the week. It's not fair that Iron Man and Doom was that good that it kind of. Right. So I liked it. It's just a little bit like, okay, here we go again. But I kind of expected this Phoenix storyline to be a little bit bigger in terms of Marvel continuity.
Yeah.
I guess, but King in Black taking center stage didn't. But I hope this one has ramifications because the Phoenix Force should have ramifications. I don't want it just to be like, okay, I sent it back. I won. I sent it back off into space. The end.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that is another thing. I totally agree. I'm curious to see where they go with this story. And it is overshadowed by King in Black. I guess pun intended there. But this I like this concept. Like I said, I like where this is going. Hopefully it leads to something big and, does give us some actual consequences in the end. I love the Phoenix eyes look. I saved the Cap Phoenix look as what I was sure was going to be my pick of the week. And then we got Iron Man and Doom, or my panel of the week, I should say. Sorry. But yeah, I really like this. I'm really excited to see what some of the other characters look like, because you can see them on the cover here, but the Cap look is a little bit different in the actual comic. So I'm excited to see what we actually get from these other characters.
I hope not Marvel, Hasbro's paying attention, because I love a Marvel Legends series of these guys like they did for Ten of Swords.
Absolutely. If this series goes absolutely nowhere and all we get out of this is Phoenix characters, Legend series line, I'm totally for it.
Yeah. Speaking of new looks, so we just read, what was it? Spider-Man number
55.
So in 7 issues, he's getting a new look.
Yeah, which seems sort of in between, right? Like you could see it being like right after this whole thing with Kindred is done, or like down the line somewhere. This just seems sort of in the middle. So I'm interested to see how Spider-Man plays out over the next month or 2 months or so. What do you think of this new look?
I mean, I think it's kind of cool. It didn't go too sort of Iron Spider-y, which, is kind of the easy way out. Obviously, it's hard without knowing the story reasoning for it. I mean, let's be honest, this isn't going to be his look for the next 30 years. Right. But, when Spider-Man changes his suit, it usually means something. We're still paying off that black suit in many ways. So I'm not as, the look is fine. I would still prefer his classic look. I don't know what the reason for all of this is, it's tech on it. It's a little too, feels like we've seen it before, but I'm more excited about the story that will presumably
tell
the whole point.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think it feels like we've seen it before because it kind of looks to me like a mix between his Fantastic Four costume and the Iron Spider. Like it's just sort of elements from those two mixed together. I do like it though; it is cool. But I'm totally that the one that goes with when you're playing the video game and you can choose from any 100 different customized costume. I'm the one that just sticks with the original costume. I'm that sort of Marvel purist nerd. So that's what I. That's what I go to. But I do like this new look. It does look pretty cool, and I'm excited to see what the reasoning is for it, and
why he eventually decides to go stick back to his red and black and by Spider-Man 75. I'm guessing.
I'm curious though what this suit does. Like usually when there's a new costume, it has some sort of new technologies, gives them some sort of new power. So interesting to see what that does. Speaking of new powered suits. We got a trailer for Avengers Mech Strike, which was announced, I believe, last month. Basically, Marvel meets Transformers meets Power Rangers, I guess. Giant mechanical suits. This is a really interesting concept that I think a lot of people are going to like. I don't know where I stand on this. What do you think?
To me, it comes a little too close to brute force after all that. Let's just put a suit on it. I mean, it's obviously it's a little too obviously toyetic.
Yeah.
So once and it's not coming out of any major storyline. So whatever. I mean, it looks cool, but it looks like Transformer Avengers, and I don't think it's supposed to look anything more than that. That's what it is.
Or Pacific Rim actually is what comes to mind too.
Yeah,
because they are literally Tony Stark makes these giant suits to face some giant new monster. So I mean that's literally the plot of that movie. So I'm interested. I'm curious to see what happens here, but yeah, not my cup of tea, to be honest.
We got a new ad during the Christmas or magical was it Disney Parks magical holiday Christmas celebration. We
Yeah, I
got
never would have remembered that name.
we got the a new WandaVision ad. There's a little snippet of it. I mean, it's like you can't hype it more. Like I'm already gonna watch it, so I don't know that I have much to say except just give it to me. Give me the show.
I think they've done a good job with because I feel like this is what the fourth or fifth sneak peek sort of thing we've gotten, and they've done a good job of not giving away too much. Like each time we get maybe another 2 to 3 seconds of new footage. This one does sort of play up the television element of it. There's a moment where like Catherine Hahn's character seems to like forget her line, so that seems interesting. I'm with you. I'm just excited. I'm ready. Can we just go to sleep now and wake up on January 15th? That would work.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want it every week. We just to go talk about how excited I am because I am. And so we will. And then on Mondays, you'll be doing a special Marvel Marvel Monday show recapping last week's WandaVision. So that will start at 1:30 every Monday, starting, I guess, on the 18th for however many weeks.
Yeah. I'm always excited to talk about I'm excited to talk about Marvel projects that we've gotten, and as opposed to Marvel projects that we are looking forward to.
Especially this, I mean, I feel like I kind of like how Marvel plays us with their marketing. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm all excited to watch a trailer. I'm all excited to do, but it feels like we've been on a Groundhog Daying this one for a while, and I'm just ready. I'm ready for something. I mean, what's the last Marvel thing we got? Spider-Man? What?
I mean, I guess that depends on what kind of Marvel. Yeah.
I mean, MCU. Obviously, we got comics every week, but
MCU, absolutely, yeah. Spider-Man, Far From Home, which I mean feels like it was 5 or 6 years ago at this point. Let's put it this way: they've announced 150 new cast members for the third Spider-Man since the second one came out.
But it's funny because Spider-Man kind of ended phase 4 or phase 3, excuse me, and the Infinity Saga as it is, and then and we're like, okay, and then in a couple months we'll go watch Black Widow and we'll get going but it feels like it's almost like they have this built in this break for between the Infinity Saga and what's next, and it's like looking back they might be like, oh wow, they took a break, like they really took a year off to like get into the next phase of Marvel. No, I mean that wasn't the idea.
Right. Yeah. This was all by design, right? This is what they planned. So this is obviously our last show, our last Marvel time of the year. And every week we do our pick of the week. So figured why not do our picks of the year? So it's hard looking back at all the comics we've read. Did you manage to come up with your favorite from the year?
So I've debated whether I should do it like for the pace of storytelling in terms of a show, or if I should actually be honest. But I mean, the year ended strong. It's Iron Man. Dr. Doom is my pick of the year. And I know it's this week, and I know that seems like, hey, he forgot about all the other comics. No, that is a comic book I will read time and time again.
Yeah, I totally agree. Man, you really let yourself fall victim to recency bias there.
Right, exactly. I feel like I'm the Academy Award voter who forgot what happened in March. But I mean, we started this in what, July?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah. So, and I went back and I looked at all the comics we reviewed, and King in Black is great. We've had Power Pack was great. Mm-hmm. We've had some great stuff with Cap and Avengers, but and some strong Spider-Man stuff, even before we got into Last Remains. But dude, so good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I did not let myself fall victim to recency bias. I went way, way back to the beginning of December, and I went with King in Black #1 as my pick of the year. Um, I tried.
If I had to pick event of the year, it would definitely be King in Black. King in Black 1. So to me, like, yeah, that was like a fun comic book and definitely a bigger scale. But yeah, I think that's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I tried not to because it's been everything has been King in Black since it started for me. Yes, I don't remember what that would have been. Maybe Marauders. I know Marauders was one of them we read when Kyle was on.
Lucky
but
him.
King in Black #1 was just so good. And I was actually thinking too, like if I was to pick an event of the year, can you pick King in Black when only 2 issues have come out so far this year and the rest of it is next year?
Yes, yes, you can.
Yeah, and I think
obviously better than Swords and Empire.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If there was some stronger competition, I think maybe we would have had to go somewhere else. But I did want to mention too some of my other favorite issues that I was considering. Strange Academy #1, which by the way is probably my favorite new series. I love Strange Academy. King in Black, Iron Man and Doom was definitely on my list. Age of Khonshu #1, the Avengers arc that we had. Unfortunately, that story didn't really play out to what I was hoping for. But that first issue though was such a great setup. I loved it. And then Doctor Doom #7. Anytime Doom rides up on a bear, I'm going to be all for it. So that was a fun issue too.
Yeah, that Doctor Doom issue particularly might have been my pick of the week if we did this last week. I just thought that was a well written issue.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm a Doctor Doom fan. What can I say?
I am too. Yeah. So I also wanted to run through some of the highlights that Marvel gave us this year. Off the top of your head, what is your favorite anything we got from Marvel this year? Can you put?
That's a good question. I mean, yeah. I think like in terms of if you're not talking like a single issue or single, like I think, the finale of the wrap up of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was great. Just going through the decades, but I think King in Black might be my favorite Marvel thing this year. I mean, granted, it was a down year just in terms of pacing. There wasn't as much. And I didn't read comics before. I read comics, but I wasn't regularly reading them for work, before the middle of the year, before the shutdown.
Right.
So, yeah, unless you consider like the Investor Day.
Yeah. What I was trying to avoid was trying to look into things that we actually got this year as opposed to things that were announced for the future.
I think it's gotta be King of, and if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, is King of Black even going to make your top 10? I probably would have said no. Like as I said before, I'm not a huge Venom guy, but I think King of Black has been perfectly executed.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, given the fact that King in Black just started and is really, I think, really going to hit its stride, which is crazy to say because that first issue was so good. But I think going forward,
either.
Yeah. Every part of it's been great, and I think it's only going to get better. So if I was to push that into next year, I really enjoyed the wrap up of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was great. I will say I haven't played it yet, but I think Spider-Man Miles Morales would be my favorite part, just given how much I love that first game. Marvel 616 was also very entertaining. Mike's Spider-Bot video is definitely a highlight of the year for sure.
Yeah, Marvel 616, I really enjoyed. I don't know. It's just hard for me to pick a behind the scenes thing as like my top thing. But and to me, there were some episodes that were far beyond others.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think were bad, but there were some that just kind of felt like could have easily been on Marvel's YouTube channel.
Right.
Like in the Japanese Spider-Man episode is very strong. Obviously, the Paul Scheer episode was very strong.
Everyone's gonna know brute force now, right? Like,
right. Well, it's funny because I went on Marvel Unlimited. It's like Spotlight, brute force, and it's like,
yeah. By the way, New Mutants, we did get a Marvel movie this year. It wasn't
that's
Marvel movie.
10. Didn't hate it, but whatever. Hellstrom.
That's what I was going to say next. Was that sort of my sleeper on the list there, even if it's barely related to Marvel. Really, really liked Hellstrom. So if you are looking for a new show to watch going into the new year, check out Hellstrom on Hulu. That was very, very fun new series. Wish we were more tied into Marvel and wish we were getting a second season, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah, and honestly, the one my sleeper would probably be Spider-Man Maximum Venom.
I had that on my list as well.
Disney XD. I thought that was for sort of a Dead Man Walking show. It was very strong. They didn't just sort of peter it out and tie it into Avengers Campus, which should have been probably my favorite thing from Marvel this year.
Right. Yeah, there were a lot of things that would have been our favorite things about this year. A couple others real quick. Marvel's Avengers, the video game, it's a lot of fun. Still trying to finish it. And then you got to try out Iron Man VR as another big one this year too. So yeah, there was still a decent amount. I was surprised actually as I was putting, because off the top of my head, I was like, oh, well, we didn't really get anything Marvel this year. And then I put this list together and it's like, no, there was a decent amount that Marvel gave us. So still got some Marvel fun.
Great. So we'll get to look forward to 2021. Maybe we'll talk about what we're looking forward to from 2021 next week.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot.
Yeah, I should say we should, what we think we're going to get in 2021.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Anything to say before we wrap up?
No, just Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. And we look forward to how many Marvel things are there this year? There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think is the final count.
6 series, right? 3 films. So
yeah,
we'll be busy.
And that's on top of comics. So
although, I was thinking we don't know what the next thing after King in Black is, do we? Like the next
major event? No, we have a lot of new series launching in March, but we don't know what the next big event will be, I don't think.
That'd be interesting because we kind of went from event to event to event. So I'm kind of curious to see. Usually they kind of tease something towards the end of the year, but we'll see where that goes next.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Looking forward to it. Excelsior.